I can increase more clients and I can retain them for longer. And then there's the price. Mathematically, the more successful you get, the larger that clientele gets, the more you get stuck. If you've done your projections and you have 150 members and you have 10% churn, maybe that's high, but that's really the industry average, a little bit above that. That's losing 15 clients a month. That means you need 15 just to prevent sliding backwards. And let's say if you have 150, you've got 100, you got to replace 10 quite often. Maybe it's less, but maybe also your acquisition's less. The point is with churn, there's only so much you can do. Most people are really good operators out there. You have a lot of heart. You put a lot of care into what you do. Churn can only get so close to zero. It's a law of diminishing returns. You need to deliver an amazing product. Yes, absolutely. But some people are going to get bored. They're going to get sick or injured. They're going to get a job and move away. There are some things you cannot prevent. And there's only so much you can do to acquire new people too. There's only so many ads you can run and this and that. And the bottom line is price is everything.
Hey guys, Dustin Bogle here with another episode of the Lunch with a Punch podcast. And I am super excited for my guest today. As you guys know, this is a podcast for gym owners by gym owners. And so I'm a big believer of real recognizes real. And that's who I try to bring to you guys so that you know it's going to be people that have a very solid system. They have time under tension in the industry and they have a proven process and model that's going to add value to you guys. And so my guest is a fellow gym owner, but also a man that helps people get into financial freedom. And so he's founded multiple systems that helps gym owners to accomplish that. And he's the author of a best-selling book. So I'm excited to tell you guys about that. Welcome to my guest, Scott Carpenter. You ready to do this, Scott?
Absolutely, Dustin. Thanks for having me.
Yes, I'm so excited. And you definitely really, outshine me just because you have that amazing broadcaster voice. Like, the minute somebody hears it, I'm like, is this guy like from the radio or like, how does he just sound so crystal clear? So like that's
probably just the microphone.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, we definitely want to dive into your story and then your specific systems and how you help gym owners. So let's start there. Let's start with like where you got into business, why you chose fitness, like how did that all get started?
Yeah, man, it's been such a long journey, but I've not been the conventional guy. I was taught, hey, get amazing grades, get into a good school so you can get a nice stable job and then eventually die. Like that's the path. And I followed that and I worked in the corporate world for 4 years, but a few years into it, I'm like, this is not for me. And I hate it. And believe it or not, I was working for Big Tobacco because my idea of success at 21 years old was making more money than my friends who graduated with, right? Big Tobacco paid a great salary. Then I got into health and fitness and it changed my life. And I'm like, my morals and ethics don't align. And like life is too short. I know where I'm going to be in 20 years. I'm going to hate my life. So quit my job, moved out to sunny Arizona with palm trees and beautiful women and pools and all that. And I decided to get it into something I love to do, which was fitness, right? So I became a personal trainer, worked at a big box gym. And then again, it's just like they're not doing the right things to change people, right? I wanted to get this gift of fitness and wellness and all that I'd received. Like I wanted to give that to other people. And it was just a turn and churn kind of thing. And so I eventually started my own place and it, led into 6 locations and I got lucky a million times. I got unlucky a million times, but was lucky enough to be surrounded with some amazing people, learn amazing things, and then create a very unique system that just changed the game.
That's awesome, man. And I think it's funny that people who have a lot of reps are the people who kind of start to catch those patterns. We were talking about patterns before we went live. And so the people that grow quicker are just putting themselves in a situation to see more reps in a condensed period of time. Even when we bring a new coach on board, I'm like, man, if you do a block of sessions just from the beginning to the end, you've transformed, you've upgraded. If you get feedback and you hear and you can, improve that quickly. Could you imagine if that happens every single day? What kind of coach you'll be in 30, 60, 90 days? But it's about putting yourself in that situation, asking for the feedback, doing reiterations so that the growth happens quicker, right? It's like
Absolutely.
A growth hack.
Everything in life is reps. I think Schwarzenegger said that, right?
Yes.
You just live your life that way. Like go seek out the coaches and mentors and teachers and go put in the work. And if you put in like all that time you do, I can say I got massively lucky in many stages. But the only reason I got really lucky is because I stayed in the game long enough and I kept taking the shots. Most people are not willing to take that kind of a beating. They bow out early, right? Whether they get out of business or they just kind of resign themselves to living that mediocre life. Not when they started out, their dream of what they wanted from their business.
Yes.
Right. But if you keep putting yourself out there, it's the law of large numbers. Eventually, it's a low probability you're going to catch a big break. But guess what? You keep doing that, and it's actually almost an inevitability that you're going to catch those big breaks.
Yes, I love that. And as you know, Scott, like our industry was hit hard with COVID, and there was just massive amount of pivots. So I wanted to ask you, what is your framework when you're trying to decide on something? That is this a moment of perseverance? Do I need to stick with it, or is it the other P? Is it a pivot and it's time to change? Like when you're looking at things, it could be marketing, it could be your systems, it could be a hire. How do you decide I just need to push through and continue on, or this isn't working, I need to pivot? Because I think that's a hard distinction. A lot of people don't know when to make that call,
Yes.
right?
Yes. And listen, I pushed through for like 6 years into my business. Okay. And just push through, and you can make some progress. But when but I didn't know what I didn't know. So that's where everything's really dangerous, is we stop looking outside of our, outside of our sphere, and we stop looking for people that are doing different or better or this or that. Right. And then we just get tunnel vision of what is possible. We accept what is possible in our personal training business, in our CrossFit business. And so the only choice is to push through at that point. But if you keep learning and expanding your education, your knowledge base, then it starts to open your mind like, holy cow, look at all this stuff that's possible. Then you can learn. Then you finally know, like, oh, that could be a pivot point. Let me try that. Right. And it opens up. So for the first 6 years, I just grinded through stuff and I achieved some decent success. But whether it was ego or me just not knowing what I didn't know, or fear of making a wrong decision, fear of being suckered into hiring somebody, false knowledge that it's better to do it yourself because that's the farmer in me,
Yes.
I kept myself a lot smaller. As soon as I joined my first group and worked with my first mentor and this and that, it just started changing everything. And fast forward between myself and Dave and Will, like we spent over $200,000 working with different coaches, mentors, doing different programs, huge investment. But that is where that hockey stick like growth just started changing. It all started changing a few years ago when I got outside of my comfort zone and did that.
Love it. So it sounds like one of the key things is outside eyes, that when you don't know what you don't know, you will probably just choose to persevere because you might not know how to pivot. Otherwise, you might have done it already. So then you get those outside eyes saying, hey, dummy, if you keep doing that, nothing's going to change. I know a better method. Go with this one, and you'll see the results you're looking for. And you're like, done. Like, if you're coachable, like, right, boom, you're going to go and take action.
Yeah. And having outside eyes is so important. That's where industry disruption often happens. So take a look at like the auto industry. Okay. Electric cars have been around for decades, and whoever wanted to squash them or didn't execute or this or that, Elon Musk was not in the car business at all. Not even close to it. You look at that like, wow, you'd be insane to jump into that industry.
Yes.
Where these manufacturers been around for decades and 100 years, you'd be nuts. But he stepped in there, and sometimes it takes an outsider to shake things up and show what's possible and lead the way. And that's kind of like with my book, it's written for box gym owners, right? Mine are more personal training studios. I did large group back in the day, but I came from more of a PT background. Yeah. And sometimes my eyes going into this CrossFit business where all these CrossFit owners are just not living the lives that they deserve. I have a different set of eyes. I have different experience. I apply it to that business model and it just blows them up.
Love it. So that is what we're going to do, man. We're going to shake some trees right now. We're going to ruffle some feathers, and we're going to disrupt some minds, because you got some great ways to challenge I think just habits that are in the industry, or people that have copied what someone else is doing, just think that that's the way you got to do it. And so you really are great at challenging them and making them think differently so they can have the life they want. Because I think, again, most people open a business, open a gym for impact and income. We're just so heart driven sometimes we will sacrifice our lifestyle and our income and our financial security because we're in such servitude of our clients and our team, and we don't want to let them down. And so we'll just stay in the grind and we'll show up and we'll fight every day. But it can start to just really beat you up mentally. And I had dozens of friends close their gym. I tallied it up one day and it was over 60 people that I personally know, that I was in masterminds or Facebook groups or saw them at events and just saw them shut their doors. And I just knew, like, man, we really, got to step up and help each other out to have just like healthy businesses, because this isn't the last storm, and it shouldn't be your first, right? Like, you're going to have to go through multiple. So if you have a healthy business, you can survive them and stick through it, right? And the unhealthy ones, it's kind of like having an unhealthy body, died off, right? And so that's why I get so fired up about what you do, Scott. So the first one I wanted to touch on was the mindset of the pricing, right? Because people tend to think it's a retention problem I have, that, man, I sign up 10 people, but I get 10 cancellations. And so I'm kind of always floating around the same number. I can't seem to break through. How do I add 50 more members? How do I add 100 more members? But you really come at it from a different perspective. Is not like chasing hundreds of members. It's more about, attacking it from the pricing perspective. So can you kind of go into that and like, what is it that's causing people to have, like 5% success rate with their clients versus 80% success rate? Everyone's getting results. What is it that you kind of help them to do to put that in place?
Yeah, you've got two levers, or you have three levers, right? You've got, I can increase more clients and I can retain them for longer. And then there's the price. And so we're just focused on fixing those first two. There's problems though. Mathematically, the more successful you get, the larger that clientele gets, the more you get stuck. It's math. If you've done your projections and you have 150 members and you have 10% churn, maybe that's high, but that's really the industry average, a little bit above that, right? That's losing 15 clients a month. That means you need 15 just to prevent sliding backwards, right? And let's see, if you have 150, you've got 100, you got to replace 10 quite often. And maybe it's less, but maybe also your acquisition's less. The point is with churn, there's only so much you can do. Most people are really good operators out there. You have a lot of heart. You put a lot of care into what you do. Churn can only get so close to zero. It's a law of diminishing returns. You need to deliver an amazing product. Yes, absolutely. But some people are going to get bored. Some people aren't that invested to begin with. They're going to get sick or injured. They're going to get a job and move away. There are some things you cannot prevent. And there's only so much you can do to acquire new people too. There's only so many ads you can run and this and that. And the bottom line is price is everything. Take, for instance, I just did the P&Ls for last month a little bit ago. I've got a 2,000 square foot place that brought in $7,000 last month. Okay. The profit to the owners, I have a co-owner there, right? If we don't factor what they get paid for working in the business, the total distribution to the both of us was over $30,000, like $31,000. You can be highly profitable. And I don't know how many clients we have over there, but not many, probably like 60, 70. And we can do that. We don't have 300, and our costs rise with the space, but I might be getting a little off topic, but the bottom line is price is everything, guys. If it's $200 a month, and I'm not talking marginal price increases, like, oh, let's go from like $139 to $159. That will help for sure. Okay. But there are so many people that you sign up that aren't there just to do hardcore workouts. They are there for two different reasons. Either A, they want to get in the best shape of their lives, or B, they want to change their lives. They're really unhappy with who they are and where they are in life right now. They have self-confidence issues. It shows up in many areas of their life. The bottom line is in this industry, we give amazing workouts and we care a lot, but we suck at getting them to change. We suck at all that stuff. Even if you offer, I offer nutrition coaching. Wonderful. Nobody wants it. It's not sexy. People feel, I already know what to do. I just need to do it. Well, that's false. Like false, A. B, the doing it is the hard part. That's why you need a coach and a mentor to take you by the hand and teach you how to do this in your life with your daily schedules and your obstacles and your stressors, all of that. So it's easy for you, not difficult, right? So there's all these people out there that do not want to come into your gym to work out. They have a bleeding neck issue that they want solved. And right now, 99.9% of gyms out there, they're not solving that. And this is what they just truly desire. So you need to have an offer that meets that. You need to have something that encompasses mindset and nutrition and accountability and a mentorship to take them by the hand and help them create these life changes like you've made in your life. And you can command an amazing price on that. And guys, if you sold 1 to 2 of these a month, a transformational program, and you could sell these anywhere from $2,000 to $8,000 for like a 9-week program. Okay. That includes the workouts and it's all the other stuff I mentioned. If you just sold 1 to 2 of these a month, you can make $100,000 more profit. That's all you need. It's that simple. Stop grinding so much and signing up 8 and losing 7, but next month you lose 9 and you sign up 5 and you're like, crap, I can't get out of this glass ceiling that's there.
Yes.
All about that price.
I love that, man. That's already the quote of the interview is pricing is everything. Again, I think people decide on it based on what their competition's priced at. What does this CrossFit, charge? What does that boot camp charge? What do they charge for classes at that big box? I guess I'll pick something in the middle and here we go. And then you don't realize you're signing yourself up for years of pain, right? Like because you just now get caught up in the day-to-day operations. I got to change this person's card on file. I got to put an agreement. This person needs to come down to the gym and have a sales appointment. And now you're that hamster on the wheel. When do you ever zoom out and say, man, I can't believe that one decision I made back at the beginning when I opened the gym would make this life so much harder? Because now you could just do all those normal activities within a model of a higher price point, and you're taking home so much more. It's again, that's why I said that's why it was so powerful. That's the quote of the interview is like, guys, really challenge yourself to say, where did I come up with my pricing? Did I just copy and paste? And when's the last time I asked myself, do I feel like this matches my value and the service I'm providing, right? Mm-hmm. And your time's valuable. You should definitely charge what you're worth. This
because it's fear. It's fear to do that, but it's also people don't know what they don't know. You're looking at this as a very closed bubble, commodity-based thing. Yeah, well, this person's charging this, person charging this. I'll either A, undercut them, or B, kind of go in the middle, or C, I want to be at the top end and kind of be that. But it's not at the top end. You're all within a very small, undiscernible range. And when you really fight for those same clients who are looking for the least paying stuff, everybody loses. You set that client for failure. Your retention sucks. You're mathematically, you're not playing a winnable game.
Yeah.
And it's just what you said. Like my big thing is like, I've got to unplug. It's best said by Robert Schwartz, who owns All Fit Orlando. He's been in business for a while. Okay. He charged the normal like $139 a month. He started adding nutrition coaching a few months ago. Not very impressive numbers to be able to not be a slave in his business at all. Right. And he read the book and he's like, hopefully I can say this. He's like, I felt like you were flicking me in my balls, like just challenging me and showing. But he said, more importantly, it's like, I feel like you just unplugged me from the matrix of this false reality. And then I can see what's possible. And he started with us 3-4 weeks ago. Okay. When I went to the ClickFunnels thing, I met with him in person there because he lives in Orlando. Right. And October 1st through the 10th, he sold $30,000 in new business.
Wow.
$30,000 in new business, which is double his entire monthly revenue from the previous months.
Wow.
And did that in 10. Now that's not typical because he's got it. What's typical is to do 10 to 20 in your first month. Yes. To do 30 in 10 days. I don't want to misrepresent here. That's not typical, but he's selling transformational programs that are either $3,000 or $4,000.
Now, is that happening because it's a big box gym, which means like a gigantic pool of people to kind of tap into? Or what do you think caused that, super results that he got?
It is because he's doing our sales process to a T. He is finding and discovering. This is all new business, by the way. I don't think he's had the conversation. He's got him set up to do the kind of reviews with people, his existing business. A lot of people sign up tons of their existing people from this. But this has just been with new stuff. And mind you, these are from cold Facebook leads too, which is incredible. And, but he's finding that bleeding neck issue. What I mean by that, guys, is what is that real reason that person's in front of you? What's that real reason? It's not to work out. Even if they say that, in their heads, they're like, okay, I feel really crappy about myself. I need to get into shape. Therefore, I need to work out. Therefore, I'll Google some stuff and I'll call you. And when I call you, you know what question I'm asking you. Everybody listening knows that. It's how much is it? What are the prices? What are your rates? How much is your membership? That's it. Followed up by maybe what are your times and stuff like that, and other bullshit that they don't care, that is irrelevant. So you need to learn how to run your business like a doctor's office. Take control of this process, because what happens is you're on the defensive. You either answer the price and try to justify it, or you try and skirt around it and try and hopefully build enough value to show that you care and you're different to convince them to come into your place for a consultation instead of the place down the road. And then you're just trying to say yes to everything that they need. And you're setting up for a horrible experience, and they're going to be in and out quite often. I mean, that's what happens, right?
Yeah.
And we're on this merry-go-round of awful stuff where you're just working 40, 50, 60 hours in your business and just getting by.
Yeah. No, I love it. And again, I'm sure this is resonating, as you know, that shows that you know your customer, you know the problems they're facing, because you went through those reps and you work with so many gym owners. So again, I know there's gym owners smiling, nodding. That's me. Oh my God, holy cow. So what I wanted to kind of go over next with you, Scott, was like, you have this amazing system you guys call the price multiplier method. And it has like 4 core systems inside of it. So if you guys haven't read the book, definitely go grab a copy, but I'll give you just a quick overview. There's the transformation offer, which we've talked about here pretty extensively, the doctor's office, which you're kind of bringing up as well, sales resurrection system, the turnkey coaching system, and then the flawless renewal system. So when someone deploys all 5 of these systems, that's what changes their gym to be ultra successful. And this is, again, came from you with reps under the bar, running your business, finding those ideal systems, hiring mentors, testing. And so you finally found that award-winning formula. The one that I wanted to kind of hit on here was the sales resurrection system. So when you're using this, who is it for? And then inside of that system, how does it work if somebody comes to it with money mindset issues? Meaning we can tell them to 5x their rates and go from 200 to, $5,000. But like, what if I'm kind of like quivering as I ask for that money, or like I'm nervous, or like I'm sweating bullets, or like I can't have eye contact with you. And so I'm putting off this nervous energy. You can write them the perfect script. You can give them the exact pricing, but if the person delivering it doesn't have that conviction, how do you coach them, Scott, and help them get through that?
Yeah. And that's the most important thing. And this ties back to what we were just talking about. Everything is reps. Everything is reps to get comfortable with something. Everything's scary the first few times you do something.
Oh, yeah.
There's just no getting around it. I've got an awesome message from Lauren Dervloy, who's a 9-year, now 10-year CrossFit gym owner in Ruston, Louisiana. And she's amazing. And she built an awesome nutrition coaching thing too, just virtually as well, but charging in a CrossFit and charging peanuts. Right. She tried to do a price increase years ago, according to another mentor and stuff like that. And it just backfired. The town like revolted on her, and then the coach left, started up his own location a mile down the road, just horrible experience. And when we talked a year ago, she's like, I have tried everything. She came with a referral, right? When we just first started being asked to do this by gyms, she's like, I have tried everything. I've hired everyone and blah, blah, blah. And I won't get into a personal story about how much it's been dragging on her and her husband and her 2 kids, but she's like, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep doing this. This has to work. Fast forward 4 weeks later, the message she gave over Facebook Messenger was one of like, it makes me tear up just thinking about it. And she's just saying how like for the first time in 9 years, I feel free.
Wow.
And that feels amazing. And it was awesome. It was that quick. But I remember that message when she sold her first one. She goes, did my first PC. I'm sweating, right? She was nervous as hell. She says, but 2K transformation sold.
Wow.
And her next 3 sales were executives at $4,500 a pop. Changed her entire life in a matter of 4 weeks. But you are going to be nervous. You may have imposter syndrome. But here's something to put you at ease. These transformational programs, you don't have to sell to everybody. You don't have to change your business model, right? If you have group or semi or PT or combination of all those, you can still have those. It's just you're changing your sales process to see who needs more than that, right? And that you have additional transformational offers. And they'll usually range from $2,000 to $8,000. Could be a 9-week program, could be 8 to 12. It doesn't really matter. Okay, but somewhere in there. And if they're a good fit for the program, like you're going to learn how to pitch that and sell that. And if they're not a good fit for the program, you can let them know that, right? Maybe they just want to work out. Maybe like, I just want to sweat and work out. Don't care about anything else. Cool. We can do that, right? So you don't have to, this shouldn't affect your closing rate in a bad way. It should actually have your closing percentage go up, because when you're price anchoring at $2,000 to $8,000, $2,000 to $6,000, how we build it, when you flip over to your other stuff, your normal rates, whether it's group or PT, it looks like nothing. It looks like you're giving it away, because you can deliver so much value and they see you as an authority in this space. The way you handle the sales process, they see you as the authority, the expert. They're deferring to you for these decisions. You're controlling that sales process, not just saying, yes, we do that. Yes, yes, yes. Right. You're acting like a doctor who's just telling matter-of-factly what they need to solve their problem. And a lot of them have gone and went from charging like $129 to $250 a month. And they have been just, regardless of whether they sell the transformation program or not, they've just like doubled their monthly rate.
Yes.
And between, even if you suck at selling transformations and you only sell 1, maybe 2 a month, but the price increase you can do with your normal stuff, guys, you can turn your business around in 4 to 8 weeks completely and entirely. And it's not that hard. But what you're asking is like, yeah, you're going to be a little uncomfortable at first because you've never done this. And you're like, oh my God. Right. And all these objections run through your head. What are my existing clientele going to say if they talk and they find out this? And there's all the strategies we have for that.
Right.
But the reason why people crush this so quickly is because of the reps, is because we have Zoom calls 5 times a week where you get on and we do live reps at every step. The discovery call, right? Doing a monster recap and a perfect consultation. Your pitch, ironing out your pitch and your voice, it takes some time, right? And then fulfillment. Some of you might not be that confident. Okay, I get it, but like, I don't know how to fulfill that, right? So you get our system and then we teach you how to be an amazing coach and mentor and deliver just an amazing experience. So it's going to take a little bit of time, but the answer is it's the reps. And then you're in there with, a few other gym owners on these calls, and you see how Sarah pitches it. You see how that person pitches it and Brandon pitches it. And then you're like, oh man, they can do it. I definitely can do it. Yes. And you're surrounded by all these people who are already doing it. And you just get that confidence. And then that confidence turns into conviction where you're on a mission now.
Love it. Love it. That's awesome, man. Yeah. And I think that is, exactly what I think most people who have sold high ticket would tell you. I know for me, I got stretched because I at one point was even selling franchises that were $20,000 to $40,000. So that when I went back to my gym and had a sales conversation, it was $150 or $200 a month. I was like, come on, lady, make a decision already. Like, I got to go make a $30,000 phone call. And it was just so like matter of fact, where rewind a year or two, that was my biggest number. And I was scared out of my mind. And then rewind to when I opened and I was, again, I wasn't aware of what to charge. I opened a boot camp at $99 charter membership. And that was scary because my first time asking for money. Most people who have a job, you're not, unless you're in sales, you're never in a position where you have to ask for money. You just do what happens after the money is taken, right? If I'm at Starbucks, the cashier took the money, I just make the coffee and I give it and I get to see the customer happy. I never have to have that awkward conversation. So, when you open your gym or you get your first personal training client, the first time is uncomfortable asking them for money, then you're asking for more and now you're stretching them. But again, that's something that's important for people to look at. When is the last time you've stretched your sales skills? Like you probably have this buttoned up, script you kind of go through. It just is autopiloting out of your mouth that you say it every single time. And you've done it. But when have you really stretched yourself to try to sell something more expensive it's like a muscle, right? Like to build up your sales muscles even more and sell those higher ticket things, you become a better salesperson, your business grows, right?
Absolutely.
So Scott, I want to ask you, like now when they get better at it and they're crushing it and they're getting more sales in, that's fantastic. What about when it's time to pass this off to somebody else on your team? Do you believe that they should own it, that this is like a critical task that the owner should stay in? Or is this a system that they could eventually get their team to take over? And is it scalable in that sense so that they can eventually not have to do every sales presentation, right?
Yeah. And I've got a lot of thoughts on this, and it's different for everybody in their stages, of course.
Yes.
But for those of you who think that you can't get out of your gyms and have it run without you, I'm telling you that's false. So I've got 6 of them. I've got employees I've never met. I've got employees that I never want to meet, because that's how, I mean, you might be different, but that's how I'm doing other things. And I'm more of just an investor in my own businesses, right? I'm like a shareholder. And you can do that too, if you want. Not everybody wants to do that. Not everybody thinks it's possible at this point too, right? Yeah. So you just have to continue to level up yourself. When you have more options available, you might take them at that point, right? But now it might be impossible for you to think about that. But yeah, I mean, the order of kind of replacing yourself, the easiest, for the most part, there are exceptions, because if you have this amazing salesperson, well, dang, throw him in there, man. Give him to us. We'll train him like crazy. He'll be a sales ninja. And you can hand that off if you want to hand that off first. But typically, the delivery of the workouts is the easiest thing to hand off first, right? Get those out. Everybody knows that. Then, so the way we deliver transformations, if anybody's wondering, it's the workouts are the workouts. Whether you're doing it in a group, semi, or private, you could have different options, even virtually, if you're just sending them the workouts. Who cares about the workouts, guys? They're just workouts. Yes. You don't have the best workouts. I don't have the best workouts. People prefer different things, so that's an impossibility. We all deliver good workouts, I guarantee you, right? And so it's not about the workouts. That's 3 hours a week for most people, right? This program is about the other 165 hours in the week. About. That's where everybody screws up and why they don't see results, is because of how their habits are with eating, with stress, with sleep, all that kind of stuff. It's all about the other 165 hours that they're not in your 4 walls. Right. So that's what this program is about. Just to give you a little bit of background. And we just have to do one onboarding session to build out their perfect day and week. We give them homework, so we don't have to spend a lot of time collecting that information. We build out the exact habits that they need to do, such that if they do them every day for 9 weeks, they're going to make massive changes in their life. And what we do on a weekly basis, we have like a 20-minute Zoom mentorship call. Okay. And we look at the data, look at what where their numbers are. We celebrate what went well, not just where they screwed up, right? Keep that positive mindset. Look at where they struggled. Based on where they struggled, give them one key action item that they can do, so it reduces the friction next week with their specific obstacles and what's in their way. It's so simple. It's so massively effective. You don't need to be a nutrition wizard. You don't need to have 4 years of school to do something like this. It's so simple. It's all about the action. So that's kind of what that transformation is, if you're wondering. Stop doing the workouts. It's the first and easiest way, typically, right? Number 2 then is the delivery of your transformation, the mentorship. That is usually number 2 to get out. And then number 3 is typically removing yourself from the sales position. There are absolutely exceptions. And like I mentioned, Lauren Dervloy, who just couldn't even make it a year ago, and this is like, I can't keep going on like this. She's not in her gym anymore. We've completely trained her GM to handle every role that needs to be done in there. Just like I do. Like I call my mayors, right? They handle really most or all of the sales, decent amount of the coaching. Just depends on if you need to hire somebody else to help on that, or there's somebody else, right? And they're like my mayors. They walk around, they shake hands, they kiss babies, they sign people, they keep people happy and changing. And so you can absolutely do that. Now, that's the typical order. But if some of you guys have this rare sales talent too, and when you challenge them and develop them and have them sell something that's like, 5 to 10 times more than you're currently charging, look out. It's awesome for them. They're going to make so much more money. It's incredible for you. The stages could be different for people. Got it. No, that's very, very helpful. And, again, these are just what I know people are going to be asking. So I'm just asking on their behalf, because this is something that the owner usually holds with a tight fist, because they're worried, again, money's on the line, EFT's on the line. I'm worried if I pass it off, they won't close as good as I will. Right. And so they guard it and they don't want to let it go. But you're kind of putting yourself to be the owner of that seat.
for eternity. And so, you got to, one of the things that, again, I think your system, it sounds like solves is developing people, because that's a job in itself, is to like give someone feedback on the workout they delivered, and then giving someone feedback on the way that they ran that sales presentation, and giving someone feedback on just, all the areas of their role. So that's something that I wanted to bring up, is like, it sounds like your guys' service mentors people. Are you focused just on the salespeople, or is your system also going to include something for coaches? Because I know we're going to have a exclusive workshop, which again, preview for you guys. Scott is going to do a private workshop just for the members of the Gym Reinforcement's Facebook group. So if you guys are in there, make sure you're in the group and you RSVP for it. We're going to take a deep dive into the turnkey coaching system to help you with retention. And so we want to help you guys, especially at the time of this recording, we're about to go into Q4. So the holidays, and that's a big, scary time for gym owners. I'm going to lose people. Oh my God, what are we going to do? And so that's why I'm super excited for him to present on that. But back to my question, Scott, it was like, in terms of what do you guys mentor people with? And then what is something that you really say, hey, you guys got to learn to develop people in this area?
Yeah. So it's quite a bit. It's evolved a lot. So the fact that I own and operate PT Legends, and it is what it is, and there's a book like I've already written, it's so surreal.
Yeah.
I fell ass backwards into this a couple of years ago. I mean, we the way the origination happened was, it's COVID happened, and we're like, oh my God, we got to start selling online, right? And I had a minority partner in one of my locations who like freaked out too, and he bought money he didn't have to spend, but tens of thousands of dollars from like 3 different people. He spent a boatload.
Wow.
It's like, we got to pivot on, and it was good, but it's great in theory. It's hard to do in practice, right? And meanwhile, I'm just like, he's kind of cluing me in on this. I'm wondering if I'm going to lose him because he's just going to, and I'm like, how are these guys selling this low touch point online fitness stuff for $3,000 to $8,000, totally virtual? And then I'm like, okay, they're actually doing it. They are. Okay, so why are we in person just charging peanuts for what we do with so much more value? And that's where I began the process of modifying stuff from this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy, taking the best of what was there, the stuff that didn't work, and modifying it for the brick and mortar business. At the same time, I developed this amazing habit-based coaching system that I'd been piloting for the last like 6 months that was doing, in my 14 years in the business, better than anything I'd ever tried in lifetime, on my own, because it all broke down when you try to scale it to your employees. I can sell nutrition coaching for me and retain them, but I could not successfully scale this thing and have other people sell it and retain it. It just didn't work.
Yeah.
And so I had piloted this, which is doing freaking amazing. And we combined these two to this Frankenstein baby. And we just launched it, and it crushed it at one of the locations. Then we taught all my other gym mayors how to do it, and it just changed the entire game.
Wow.
So when people started asking us, they're like, holy cow, like word caught wind of like our numbers and stuff like that in the group that I was currently in. They're like, what are you doing? And they're like, would you be willing to hop on a call with me and show me what you're doing? I'm like, yeah, no problem. So I showed them, and then they were like, can you help me do this in my gym? And with my business model, which a lot of them are CrossFit. So I said, I don't know. I mean, I'll help build it and work with you. And then why don't you come to our calls? Because the reason I was able to scale it to my multiple locations was because we set up these Zoom calls.
So you're doing that internally for your team first.
Yep.
Okay.
To teach us, hey, how are we going to build it in each? How are we going to sell it? How are we going to fulfill it? And then the last piece, how are we going to renew it? Right. And so we were doing that on these Zoom calls. So I'm like, yeah, I'll help you with this. And then why don't you come into our Zoom calls so we can teach you how to sell it and fulfill it? Right. And then how do you renew a high ticket thing? Because that's when it gets lucrative. It's awesome to sell 30 grand like Robert in 10 days, but it gets really lucrative when you re-sign those people 2 months later. Along with
new business, right? You get a new business.
And it's like, what the F? I have an all-time 10-year PR. It's insane. Yeah. So yes, on these calls, now we have tons of them, right? And we teach you, like, we work with stuff on one-on-one to build it into your business, of course, specific to your business model, and examine your other prices, see how we want this to work together. If you don't have a fulfillment system to be able to transform people, like, you get a lifetime license to use our stuff. You just get it. You can keep it as is, or you can private label it to match your business. But you don't need to spend $200 to $300 a month on some software and 100 hours building this out. How you like take hours. It's yours forever, $0 a month, right?
Nice.
So we teach you how to, build it into your business. We teach you how to sell it. And then we teach you how to fulfill it. And it's not just you, it's whoever is involved in your staff. Maybe it is just you to start, but then you bring somebody in to help with the coaching or sales. They're coming onto the calls. It's those reps. You don't have 5 hours a week to train everybody. As gym owners, we suck at developing people. We're appointment based. It's to align the stars and we just don't have the time and resources to do it. Right. Yeah. And that's where this has become so powerful. So we got lucky with it and it just worked out. So, but yeah, we teach you how to do all those steps. And it's a lot of work if you were to try to do it on, like, you just can't. I was never able to do it in mine. I underdevelop my people all the time for years. Right.
Every gym owner is guilty of that. Because again, you're just so busy with day-to-day operations that if you didn't plan this, and have this whole like grand scheme at the beginning, it's like entrepreneurs and just jump in and try to figure it out. And then you realize, holy crap, I made a mess here, here, and here. I did some good stuff over here, but it's very difficult. And like you said, we have a very odd schedule. It's early mornings and late nights. That's really hard to get your team. I mean, sometimes your team can be split shift and then they're like shifts past in the night. Morning crew never meets evening crew. And so like, can we get them together? Sometimes we can't. It's not a normal 9 to 5 job. So it is very challenging, and I think, again, that's the best way, somebody could do it, is just to have those reoccurring rep training calls. And then now when that's in place as a system, that could be part of the job offer. Hey, part of this job is you must make it to these calls. Does that work for you? Because if not, it's a deal breaker for us, Yeah. So that's fantastic, Scott. I'm super excited to dive into, one of your big 5 systems on that workshop next week. And then in terms of how people can learn about you, PT Legends, I know this is your masterpiece. You've spent so many years, dude. So it sounds like it's just like a buttoned up system. It's fantastic. How can people follow you, learn more about the system, and, just kind of get in touch if they're interested?
Yeah, absolutely. At Coach Scott Carpenter is my Instagram. And that has a link tree with everything, ranging from the podcast to my book, to the PT Legends website, and how to get in touch with me if you have any questions. You can actually ask me questions directly on there. And if you're interested in getting the book, you can just go to, there you go, right there. High ticket for affiliate gyms. It's on Amazon. And you can also go to coachscottcarpenter.com. And in there, you can just get it. I think I have it for free plus shipping. It just ships out. And I'm kind of on a mission to get this in the hands of every single box gym owner in the world. That important.
Okay. All right, Scott. Well, it has been a pleasure, man. Thank you for all the great golden nuggets that you shared. I'm sure people can just see massive changes in their business just by following this free advice. Guys, if you imagine if you bought the book, you join PT Legends, and you go deeper into Scott's offering. So totally, really push you guys to do that, because I know Scott. I know we have a lot of mutual friends, and anything that he does to the best of his ability. Check out the award right behind him. All right. They don't just hand that out to anybody. You got to hit some big sales to achieve that. So thank you, Scott, for everything you do to help the industry, man. Again, I know it's an industry that's hit hard like you. I'm determined to turn it around and to not only, create a business for people, but to help them thrive within the industry while making an impact in their community on their clients. So thank you for all you do, man, for the fitness industry.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, Dustin.